What's good, y'all? I'm gonna make this a real brief live stream just to get my point across real quick because it takes me about 10 minutes to get to the house and I'll be ready to get out and get it cracking. Anyway, so here's why Jordan Neely's pass does not have any bearing on whether or not he deserved to die. Okay, people like to you do that. They'll say, "Oh well, he had a checkered past. He did this, he did that, he robbed this, he robbed that, he tried to throw somebody off a train track, all this other shit." But here's why it doesn't matter. If you were going to do something about Jordan Neely for those reasons, you would do it for those reasons. That is a failure of the so-called justice system in New York, right? It was the failure of the justice system of New York to allow Jordan Neely to continue to be free after he did these allegedly did these horrendous things. But here's why it doesn't matter on the night that he was killed, because he didn't try to throw anybody off a train track onto the train tracks. He didn't assault anybody. He didn't do any of that. He didn't attack anyone, right? He was acting belligerent, acting a fool, and this Marine decided to take upon himself and put him in a chokehold. Not only did he put him in a chokehold, he he kept him in the chokehold for 15 minutes. That's way too long to keep somebody in a chokehold and expect them to survive that. You understand what I'm saying? 15 minutes. But here's why it doesn't matter what Jordan Neely did in the past. It's because the Marine had no fucking idea what Jordan Neely had done when he had him in that chokehold. He didn't say, "Oh, you know what? This guy did this in the past, did that in the past." He didn't know jack shit about Jordan Neely before that night. Okay? So to say that, well, the guy deserved to die because he did these things in the past, well, he didn't die for those reasons. The Marine did not kill him for those reasons. The Marine called himself trying to subdue Jordan Neely and kept him in the chokehold for too long and ended up killing him. Not because he tried to throw somebody on the train tracks, not because he attacked somebody in the past, not because of the kidnapping, all these things that people are accusing him of and saying that he had done. None of that had anything to do with anything. The fact of the matter is, one human being decided to take it upon himself and do too much trying to subdue another human being. You understand what I'm saying? If you say you can't, if you start wanting to justify killings that way, then people will just be like, well, you know, if anything, if anybody had done anything in the past that's negative, or any prior arrest served, served this time, you know, and let's talk about that. Did he serve his sentence? Did he pay his debt to society? If he did, then those things he done in the past should have no bearing on what was going on that day. And then I hear that he had a warrant out for his arrest. Jordan, the Marine had no idea this guy had a warrant out for his arrest. You understand what I'm saying? So none of these things have all that shit is irrelevant. Everything he did in the past. Was he a bad guy if he done all those things? Yeah, probably. Should he have been locked up for a lot longer if he did all those things they said he did? Should he still be in prison? Probably. But that has nothing to do with the Marine that killed him and choked him out. Hold on. What's up? Spicy Kai in the building. Jimmy Nguyen is in the building. Uh, if he wasn't asleep, his murderer don't know that. Exactly. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It really is. You know, it just that's just the fact. And the only reason they're doing this is because he's black, right? The only reason people that are trying to justify his death, they're only doing it because he's black. And best believe they really do appreciate the fact that Jordan Neely had a past. They love it. It gives them some sort of foundation to be uh, hypocrites, right? Oh well, look, we found some prior arrests for Jordan Neely. We found some prior arrests for George Floyd. I bet they were fucking happy. They probably had an erection. These people get off on justifying the murders of black folks that did not deserve to die at that point in time. And that's the key. Did they deserve to die at that point in time? At the moment that you were killing him, does he deserve to die? Is he doing anything for you to use deadly force? Acting a fool does not justify uh, what they call it, lethal force. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if Jordan Neely tried to push somebody onto the train tracks, and the person that the victim somehow turned it back on Jordan Neely and threw his ass on the train tracks in self-defense, that would be mad justified. I'd be like, yeah, good for that person. You understand what I'm saying? So, this whole idea that your prior arrest, your prior criminal record, and all the other stuff condemns you to death by any means is just it's psychotic, really. It really is psychotic. Oh, he was a drug addict. Oh, he robbed a pregnant woman and put a gun to her belly. Okay, well, that would have been the time to for George Floyd to die. You understand what I'm saying? But unfortunately, uh, well, now I won't say unfortunately, he was arrested for that. He served his time. Boom. At the time of George Floyd's death, he was not robbing a pregnant woman. Okay. At the time of Jordan Neely's death, he wasn't trying to throw somebody off the train tracks. He wasn't doing this. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing any of that shit. He was being loud and disturbing the peace. That's what he was doing. He was being loud. Disturbing the peace should not get you a death sentence. You understand what I'm saying? Acting a fool does not justify a death sentence at all. And this is the problem we're having. And this is why there's such a huge divide, right? There's such a huge divide because people want to justify murder and you know what I mean? Listen, I'm not calling the Marine a murderer. You understand what I'm saying? Because of course they still have to go. He has to still go through court, and I ain't trying to be, allegedly. All right, murder cannot be justified because you're acting a fool. You understand what I'm saying? If you're not threatening someone's life, if you're not putting your hands on somebody, assaulting somebody, and like you have to be, you have to use discernment. Okay, you have to use a certain level of discernment to determine whether or not lethal force should be used in a given moment. Um, and yeah, people can say that the Marine didn't intend to kill Jordan Neely. Well, then why was he in a chokehold for 15 minutes? Why put somebody in a chokehold for 15 minutes if you are not intent on killing that person? If you're trained to use that, if you're a trained individual and you're using that chokehold, shouldn't you understand and have knowledge of the fact that shouldn't you understand that there is a certain amount of time that a person's brain can go without oxygen before they go brain dead? Shouldn't you understand that? Shouldn't you understand that people can only survive so long without breathing? if you have somebody in a chokehold, in an effective chokehold, to the point where you actually kill them, and you're trained, shouldn't you know these things? 15 minutes? Come on, man. Anyway, I heard that, Spicy Guy. I think he's one too. I think he's a murderer too, but I think he's a murderer. You know, actually, let's call it what it is. It's murder. It's murder. You know, they'll probably go with. Did they drop charges on him? Did they actually charge him with anything? That's something I don't understand. I don't know yet. Anyway, thank you guys for coming through. That's why Jordan Neely's past doesn't matter, because the Marine had no fucking idea what went on in Jordan Neely's past. Point blank and period. Anyway, much love. Like, share, subscribe, and make sure you keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.